The 2020 delayed Concacaf Olympic Qualifying Tournament is almost among us. It starts this week, and I am going to be breaking down Canada's roster for this tournament. Where do the players on the Canadian U23 Olympic Qualifying roster play their club football? Now, of course, first we saw a 50-man preliminary roster which held a lot of promising talents, and then due to restrictions and COVID things and some players possibly going to the senior national team, some big faces like all the TFC prospects, Dane St. Clair and Theo Corbineau, were not able to be assigned to the final 20-man squad. So a couple of very bad losses for this U23 team. The first 50-man preliminary squad came out and I was really excited for this team, and then the final 20-man squad was quite underwhelming, which is really sad because I think that we had a great shot with that 50-man squad to qualify for the Olympics, and now I think that this team doesn't have as good of a shot as the team that I thought we could have in this tournament. Still a very good team, but it's not as good as what the original 50-man squad suggested we could be. So this 20-man squad is split up entirely from players who play their domestic football either in North America or in Europe. Now, 14 of these players play in North America and 6 of them play in Europe. On the North America side of things, it's divided like this. 11 of the 14 players play in MLS, Major League Soccer. 2 of the 14 play in the Canadian Premier League in Thomas Mueller-Giguère, who plays for Pacific FC, and David Norman Jr., who plays for Calvary FC. Big for the CPL to have 2 players included in this squad, as well as James Pantemis, who is on one of the 11 MLS players, who was a Winnipeg Valor loanee in the past 2020 CPL Island game season. And then 1 player plays in the USL Championship. That is Aiden Daniels, who's a former Toronto FC Academy graduate. Now, for the 11 players who play in MLS, Tajon Buchanan plays for the New England Revolution, Callum Montgomery plays for Minnesota United, and unsurprisingly, 9 of the 11 MLS players play for either the Montreal Impact, or sorry, now they're called Club de Foot Montreal, or the Vancouver Whitecaps. James Pantemis, Zachary Brogliard, Balu Tabla, and Zorhan Bassan all play for CF Montreal, and Derek Cornelius, Ryan Raposo, Theo Bair, Michael Baldissimo, and Patrick Metcalf all play for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Moving on to Europe, we have 6 players from 5 different countries. Charles Andreas Brim plays in Belgium. Chris Twardek, an exciting option for this team, plays in Poland. Lucas Diaz and goaltender Matthew Neguero play in Portugal. Goalkeeper Sebastian Breza plays in Italy. And in Germany we have... God damn it! Frickin' Marcus Godinho. Why? Why is it always Marcus Godinho? Why is he still here? Sorry, we have Marcus Godinho. Him. Haiti. Godinho. Haiti. Godinho. Gold Cup. Godinho. Barbados. Godinho. Marcus Godinho. Marcus Godinho is one of those guys that is still here for some reason. Now obviously he's in the 3rd tier German division, the 3 Bundesliga. He's played in Scotland. He's able to consistently be getting contracts with European teams, so obviously there's something there. But every time he's played for the Canadian national team, it's been a small disaster. That game against Haiti, that comeback, 2 goals, both entirely on him pretty much. So the fact that he keeps appearing, especially when there were 10 CPL players on the initial 50-team list and only 2 made the final roster, I would have much preferred to see another CPL guy. There were a couple of CPL options I was really excited to see on this team that ended up not being on this team, and Marcus Godinho's still here. And honestly, he has to have a hell of a tournament, because if he is the sole cause of 1 goal, it's probably the end of him for the Canadian national team. But yeah, other than that, the rest of the European guys I'm pretty excited about. Brim from Belgium has national team experience already. Twardek I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see Lucas Diaz too. He's supposed to be pretty solid. Breza and Neguera I think are probably going to be the backup keepers. I think Pantemis is going to be the starting keeper. I'm a little surprised that Hasal didn't get a call up to this team because he was on the initial roster. The only thing I can think of is maybe they're not bringing Borjan over, and that means that Hasal and Dane St. Clair might end up both with the national team. But to be honest, I'm very surprised that Hasal is not the goalie for this team going into this tournament. That is quite interesting. But overall, I like this team. They definitely have a shot to qualify for the Olympics. Can they beat the United States is an interesting question. This year, because of restrictions for players being able to go and what players can go to this tournament and who can't, it's pretty much completely thrown everything up into the air. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how this team lines up compared to the other teams there. I think they have a solid chance. There's some nice, exciting young players on this team. Not as exciting as we could have seen had the likes of guys like Ralph Prizo or Theo Corbineau gone, but this is a pretty solid team. I like a lot of the players that are on this team, and this should be a competitive team that has a solid shot to qualify for the 2020 Olympics in Japan, which are taking place in 2021 because things are weird now. So, that does it for this video. As always, if you like to hit like, if you want to see more of my stuff, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, link is down below in the description, and I will see you next time. Hopefully when Marcus Godinho hasn't cost us a spot in the Olympics.